on politics today, the former governor of Borno State. Incidentally, when he left office was about the time that you were entering to become governor of Anambra State, and he mentioned to say that.
No, I was there before I left office.
Yeah, so just, I mean, he was exiting. Your turn coincided at some point. You were in office at some point when he also was in office. And he said, people should not look in your direction because you will divide Nigeria, that you do not have what it takes to unite Nigeria. How do you react to such a statement?
So that's directly opposite of what I would do. How will unite Nigeria? And I know what it takes to unite Nigeria.
And what will that be?
Sheriff. Am I right? Sheriff.
Alimudu Sheriff.
I'm Sheriff. If you look at my record, what he said is opposite. At the onset, while he was still governor, I was there at the onset of this Boko Haram issue. His own brother was killed. So I traveled to Borno State to condole him. When people don't want to go there, I went to Borno State. It's on record. So they've been flooding in Borno State. I went there, contributed about 50 million naira, visited the governor, visited the shore of Borno, I visited IDP camp in Borno. I've been to most troubled part of the north, be it Katsina, Kebbi. I've been to Plateau up to 4 times, visiting the various affected communities when there's clean and everything, spend time in IDP camp, help even communities that are affected to rebuild their schools for their children, went to the IDP camps, supported them. I've done that in Benue. I spent Christmas, New Year in IDP camps. So I've built boreholes in Gombe, in Kaduna, in every part of the north. When the University of Sokoto said, the University of Sokoto Agricultural Faculty said, all they need is borehole for their farm, I did it. And I visited schools in Sokoto, even when Tamoa was governor. I can go on and on. I've done the same thing in the southwest. I've been to schools, in Kogi, schools of nursing, I've visited hospitals all over Nigeria. There's no politician today in Nigeria who has been able to travel places I've been by road, from Kafanchan to Katsina to Maiduguri to everywhere. I've traveled all over the place by road. Because I want the country to be together.
And you understand that?
And I'm experiencing it. So for him to, what he's saying is direct opposite of what I'll do. And I will show you an example. By going to all these places, even the recent audition, I visited the governor. Well, ask governors of other places, whether it's for anything, whenever there's issue, I call them. And I try to visit them. Whenever there's fire, in Kanu and everything, I will go there.
Mr. Obi, don't you think that this is probably not about Peter Obi? Because any person that understands the Nigerian history from the Civil War to the post-Civil War would think that, imagine that we have not totally healed. And there's a segment of this country that have not been fully integrated in terms of the politics of this country. Whether or not an Igbo man can become president of Nigeria, do you think that we have moved away from the Civil War syndrome and we have totally healed such that an Igbo man like Peter Obi from Anambra State, an Onitsha man, will one day become Nigeria's president?
That is the beginning of that is the foundation of the healing. And that is where you start to build the momentum and build Nigeria.
And
that would be that is the beginning. So a P2P presidency will commence the healing and the unity that is required to stabilize and build a better country. That's why I said a new Nigeria is possible.
How do we?
Because everybody will be inclusive.
How do we deal with the Kaduna Isiogwu tact coup? Because that seems to have been a major wound that a lot of Nigerians still don't think that they can trust an Igbo man to become president.
At any particular point in time, know that you cannot be trapped in the process of yesterday. Those who are trapped in the process of yesterday must live the future. There must be a time to know that we are the same. We must come together. Yes, we have a history. But we must not be trapped in it. It must not deprive us tomorrow. Those who are trapped in the process of yesterday and today will miss tomorrow. I want to drive this country to tomorrow. I want the child of Nigeria to be able to grow up in Nigeria, go to school, live his life without thinking about his tribe, without thinking about yesterday, without thinking about his religion, but as a Nigerian, and be proud of it. And we're going to do that. That is exactly what I am offering the people. I will never divide Nigeria. I will unite Nigeria. I will show love to every part of Nigeria and make sure things are done differently because I'm going to involve everybody.
I'd like to look into this camera, Mr. Obi, because every northerner that is watching through that lens tonight, we wonder whether or not they can trust an evil man. What would you say to them tonight that you, Peter Obi, can be trusted to become Nigeria's president, and the lives, the destiny, and the politics of the northern man is safe in your hands?
Sure, I'll change the north. I have an idea what is happening in the north. And nobody can drive that process today in Nigeria that I'm seeing in the politics better than me. I will work with them and I'll ensure that that unity, that security, that prosperity they desire, I will commence it. And I've shown it. Shall I have worked closely with people in the north? I have an idea what's happening in the north. I have an idea that it will have massive poverty that needs to be dealt with. I have an idea that to deal with the issue of education and health properly, not listen, and I'll deal with it decisively.
If you look at it, there are those who say we have not healed totally from the 1966 up to the 70. What would you do? You saw what happened in South Africa. There are those who say we need to reconcile. We need to sit at a table, look eyeball to eyeball. The generation of those who are 30-year-old today, who are 20-year-old today, who do not know the pains of the 1966 and 1970. Do you? I mean, they had a moment of reconciliation where they had a committee for reconciliation. Do you think that we need a moment of sitting down as a people to reconcile and think about what happened in the Civil War and move forward?
We need to have, I said before and I repeat, my presidency will heal and unite Nigeria.
That's what you stand for. Are you going to set up a committee, or you are going to?
No, it's not pushing. So that the actions of the presidency will show what we're going to do.
Tell me about what Alimodu also said about northern tax, and you have been accused of labeling northerners. How do you respond to that?
Sure, that's the lie. It never happened. Sure, I don't want Sheriff's ABC is from the north. Most governors choose their ABC, who is the closest person from them, from their own. My ABC is from Kaduna, and is a Muslim. ABC was a Muslim, still a Muslim. So how can you have a Muslim as the closest person to you? You're giving straight attack. All the commissioners that served me in 8 years I was in office were Muslims. We are not actually Muslims, but I'm from the north. So how did I give them tax? People from the north. So before I became governor, my closest or my 2 closest staff from the bank were from Kano. All the people I have, even military friends, were all from the north. So before I became president, I've always to date paid for at least, then even because at least a Muslim every year to go to Hajj, every year. And I have records of them. As governor, I was paying for Christians to go for pilgrimage. I was paying for Muslims living in Anambra to go to Hajj. They are there. I'm sure while he was governor in Borno State, he never paid for any Christian to go to pilgrimage. I was paying for Muslims to go to pilgrimage. So how can I be giving them back? And I can go on and on and show you what I'm doing now privately on my own, going to do borehole. As I speak to you, I'm supporting 4 Almajiri schools in Kaduna, in Bauchi, and this, I'm supporting School of Nursing in Bauchi, in Kaduna, the Muslim school, and I can go on and on. So you see, people, these are things they've done in the past to keep Nigeria divided.
Well, are there things that you have done in the past that you regret about the optics and how you were profiled, and you thought that maybe it's something that you need to change, that you have done wrongly to make you look like you are ethnic jingoist?
That's what I'm saying. This is the point they do. Instead of us discussing the problem of the country, people come before you to discuss P2B. That's not the issue. World Bank has just said that 79% of Nigerians are going to face poverty. In a country of 230 million people, that's over 180 million. That should be the issue we should be discussing.
When they are mentioning,
they should be talking about the issue of out of school children, talking about the issue of health, and all this money that are missing here and there that would have been invested properly. Nobody is discussing it.
When politicians come on my program and they keep mentioning your name, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's not about what they're discussing about me. Calling me name doesn't make me feel anything. But they abandon issues we are supposed to discuss. I'm discussing what I think is irrelevant.
Do you think mentioning your name shows that you are a real threat and a man to beat in this election?
Well, it's, like I said, this election in 2027 should be about issues that affect the ordinary Nigerian who don't know. With the World Food Organization have just said that 5 million Nigerians are going to face hunger. Of course, Nigerians are being kidnapped. Let's talk about Nigeria.
They tell you to be afraid of an Igbo president. But ask yourself, who has been leading you all this time? Northern sons have ruled this country, and yet your children are out of school. Bandits roam your farms. Food has never cost more. And the men warning you about Peter Obi, their children are eating well abroad. They are not suffering. You are. Peter Obi governed Anambra with discipline. No oil money, no corruption. He left his state with a surplus and left himself with nothing extra. That is not a Southern story. That is not an Igbo story. That is the story of a man who can be trusted. Think of your child. Think of their school. Think of the road you cannot use because of bandits. Think of everything you have lost under leaders who looked like you and sounded like you and still stole from you. The fear they are selling you was manufactured to keep you exactly where you are, so they can keep enjoying what belongs to all of us. This time, vote for your children's school fees. Vote for security. Vote for the future. Not for fear. Not for tribe. Vote for Nigeria. A new Nigeria is possible.